The story opens with two teenage girls, Katie Embry and Rebecca Becca Kotler, discussing the unsettling events of the previous weekend. Katie had gone to a remote cabin in the mountains with some friends for a getaway. As they chat, the conversation turns eerie when Becca brings up the legend of a cursed videotape. According to the tale, anyone who watches the tape receives a mysterious phone call immediately afterward, where a voice on the other end says, "You will die in 7 days." The curse supposedly guarantees that exactly 7 days later, the viewer meets an untimely death. Katie is visibly shaken and confesses with growing dread that she had indeed watched the tape at the cabin the previous weekend, precisely 7 days ago. As Katie's anxiety mounts, strange and unexplainable occurrences begin to happen in the house, including a television turning itself on and emitting eerie sounds. In a terrifying climax, Katie is suddenly and mysteriously killed, while Becca, who witnesses the horrifying event, is driven into a state of shock and eventually institutionalized in a mental hospital. The narrative then shifts focus to Katie's aunt, Rachel, a journalist living in Seattle. Rachel is a single mother to her son, Aiden, who was not only Katie's cousin but also a close friend. Aiden, who has shown an unusual sensitivity to psychic occurrences, begins to worry Rachel when his teacher reveals that he had been drawing disturbing pictures of his cousin lying dead in the ground, days before Katie's actual death. At Katie's funeral, Rachel's sister implores her to investigate the mysterious circumstances surrounding her daughter's death. As Rachel delves deeper into the case, she uncovers the story of the cursed videotape that led to Katie's demise. Rachel's investigation brings her to the same mountain cabin where Katie and her friends had stayed. There, she discovers the videotape and, driven by curiosity, decides to watch it herself. Immediately after viewing the tape, her phone rings, and a girl's voice ominously whispers, 7 days. The next day, Rachel contacts Noah, Aiden's father, a skeptical and somewhat detached figure, to watch the tape with her. Despite his initial sarcasm and disbelief about the connection between the tape and the deaths, Rachel's fear continues to grow. She becomes increasingly convinced that the tape is cursed when she notices that her face appears severely distorted in photographs, just as Katie's and her friends did after they watched the tape. Noah, intrigued but still doubtful, agrees to watch the tape and asks Rachel to make a copy for further analysis. However, as Rachel's unease deepens, the situation takes a dire turn when Aiden accidentally watches the tape a few days later. On the same day, Noah calls Rachel, admitting that he now believes her claims about the tape's curse after witnessing his face distorted in a convenience store's security camera footage. In the background of their conversation, we see a stack of photographs Noah has recently taken, all showing his face grotesquely blurred and twisted. As the days pass, Rachel begins to experience increasingly bizarre and terrifying phenomena, which seem to plague anyone who has watched the cursed tape. She suffers from gruesome nightmares, inexplicable nosebleeds, and surreal incidents, such as one where she pauses the tape and notices a fly crawling across the screen, only to reach out and physically pull the fly from the monitor. Her investigation into the origins of the tape leads her to a series of disturbing, grainy, black and white images. These images point her toward Anna Morgan, a woman who appears in the tape and who once lived on Moesco Island with her husband and daughter, raising horses. Rachel uncovers a dark history surrounding the Morgan family, including a tragedy where all the horses on their ranch inexplicably went mad and drowned themselves in the sea, which left Anna deeply traumatized. This trauma led to her committing suicide after a stay in a mental institution. Determined to uncover the truth, Rachel visits the Morgan family's home, where she encounters Richard Morgan, Anna's widower. He is hostile and refuses to discuss the videotape or anything related to his daughter. Rachel learns from a local doctor that Anna had longed for a child but was unable to carry a pregnancy to term. One winter, the Morgans left the island and returned with an adopted daughter, Samara. However, as time passed, Anna began experiencing terrifying visions whenever Samara was near, leading her to send Samara to a mental institution on the mainland. Meanwhile, Noah travels to the institution and discovers Anna Morgan's file, though he notices that a key video is missing. Back at the Morgan house, Rachel finds tapes of Samara's sessions with the doctors. In these recordings, Samara, a timid and unsettling child, claims she doesn't mean to harm others, but cryptically adds that it won't stop. Richard Morgan, now desperate and unhinged, gathers all the electronic devices in the house and carries them into the bathroom, where he fills the bathtub with water. He declares that his daughter was evil before committing suicide by electrocuting himself. Noah arrives at the Morgan house just after Richard's death, and together with Rachel, he explores the property further. In the barn, they uncover a hidden room where Samara was kept by her father. They find a burned image of a tree, which Rachel recognizes from the videotape and remembers seeing near the cabin at Shelter Mountain Inn. They begin to realize that Samara had a supernatural ability to imprint images into the minds of those around her, which drove her parents to madness and led her mother to take her own life. Rachel and Noah head to Shelter Mountain Inn, where they discover a well concealed beneath the cabin floor. Rachel, drawn to the well, accidentally falls in and encounters the remains of Samara. In a harrowing vision, Rachel witnesses Anna Morgan attempting to smother Samara with a garbage bag to stop the havoc caused by Samara's powers. After the failed attempt, Anna dumps Samara's body into the well. However, Rachel realizes with horror that Samara was still alive when she hit the water and watched as her mother closed the well lid, trapping her inside. Rachel contacts the authorities, and Samara's body, which rapidly decomposes in Rachel's arms after she awakens from the vision, is finally given a proper burial, seemingly putting her spirit to rest. Noah, shaken by the discovery, asks Rachel how long someone could survive trapped in a well, and Rachel speculates that it might be 7 days. With Samara's body laid to rest, it appears that the nightmare has ended. Rachel reassures Aidan that they are safe and will no longer be haunted by Samara. However, Aidan quickly corrects her, revealing that Samara's spirit has not been appeased, as shown by the bruises on his arm inflicted during a nightmare that Rachel also experienced. In one of the film's most terrifying and iconic scenes, Noah is at home reviewing some film prints when his television turns on by itself, displaying static, just like it did for Katie before her death. Unconcerned at first, Noah turns off the TV, only for it to turn back on, which catches his attention. As he watches in growing horror, the image of the well from the cursed tape appears on the screen, and Samara, the long-haired figure, begins to crawl out of the well and move toward the television screen. To Noah's utter terror, Samara crawls out of the television into his apartment. In a panic, Noah knocks over a shelf and desperately tries to escape, but when he turns around, Samara is there, staring directly at him, causing his inevitable and gruesome death. Rachel, who races to his apartment, arrives too late and finds his lifeless body. In a state of hysteria, Rachel destroys the tape, unable to comprehend why she survived while Noah was killed. As she struggles to make sense of it, she realizes the horrifying truth. The only way to escape Samara's curse is to make a copy of the tape and show it to someone else, thereby continuing the deadly cycle. Rachel had unknowingly saved herself by making a copy for Noah, but Noah, who made no copies, was doomed. The film concludes with Rachel helping Aidan make a copy of the tape. As the tape finishes duplicating, Aidan turns to his mother and asks the chilling question, "Who are we going to show it to?" Movie commentary. This story is a carefully constructed exploration of psychological horror that intertwines elements of supernatural mystery with a deeply unsettling atmosphere. It follows the narrative of a cursed videotape that dooms its viewers to a horrifying death exactly 7 days after watching it, a premise that is executed with a meticulous attention to detail and an unwavering focus on building tension. The story's atmosphere is one of its most striking features. It employs a bleak, muted color palette that amplifies the pervasive sense of dread throughout the story. The visuals are hauntingly crafted, particularly the scenes within the cursed videotape, which are shot in stark black and white, creating a series of enigmatic and nightmarish images. These sequences are unsettling in their simplicity, relying on disturbing and abstract imagery that lingers in the viewer's mind long after the scene has ended. The atmosphere is further enhanced by the film's minimalist use of special effects, which grounds the supernatural elements in a chillingly realistic world. The story is driven by the strong performances of the cast, especially the lead actress who portrays a determined journalist. Her character is central to the film's emotional core, and her portrayal of a woman grappling with fear, desperation, and an obsessive need to uncover the truth is both convincing and deeply affecting. Her journey from skepticism to terror is handled with nuance, drawing the audience into her world and making her fear palpable. The supporting cast also delivers commendable performances, particularly in how they convey the creeping realization that something far more sinister is at play than they initially believe. One of the story's greatest strengths is its pacing. It allows for a slow, deliberate buildup of tension, where moments of quiet dread are skillfully interspersed with shocking bursts of horror. This pacing ensures that the audience remains on edge, with the horror rooted not just in the supernatural occurrences but in the psychological unraveling of the characters. The film avoids the pitfalls of many horror movies by not relying on jump scares or excessive gore. Instead, it uses its atmosphere and narrative to create a sustained sense of unease. The cinematography plays a crucial role in the film's effectiveness, with each shot carefully composed to maximize the feeling of isolation and impending doom. The framing often places the characters in positions that highlight their vulnerability, whether it's the looming presence of a shadowy figure or the claustrophobic tightness of certain scenes. The use of close-ups and lingering shots further enhances the psychological tension, forcing the audience to confront the horror alongside the characters. Sound design is another key element that contributes to the film's unsettling atmosphere. The soundscape is filled with eerie, dissonant noises that create a sense of disorientation and anxiety. Silence is used strategically, often preceding moments of intense horror, making the eventual noise or event all the more jarring. The use of ambient sounds, such as the static from a television or the distant echoes of a voice, further immerses the audience in the film's world, making the supernatural feel intimately connected to the everyday. The story explores complex themes such as obsession, the burden of knowledge, and the consequences of uncovering dark secrets. The film presents a world where the pursuit of truth comes with terrifying risks, and where knowledge can be as dangerous as ignorance. The characters are drawn into a deadly game, where their desire to understand and solve the mystery of the tape leads them deeper into a nightmare from which there seems to be no escape. As the story unfolds, the film gradually reveals the dark history behind the cursed videotape, delving into the tragic past of a family plagued by supernatural occurrences. The backstory is revealed in pieces, each new discovery adding layers to the horror and deepening the sense of dread. The film's ability to weave these elements together into a cohesive and compelling narrative is a testament to its strong writing and direction. The climax of the film is both shocking and thought-provoking, offering an ending that defies the conventional resolutions of horror films. Instead of a clear-cut victory over the supernatural, the film presents a more ambiguous and unsettling conclusion, emphasizing the cyclical nature of the curse that drives the plot. The final moments are among the most memorable, leaving a lasting impression that challenges the audience's expectations and invites deeper reflection on the themes of the film. In conclusion, the story stands out as a landmark in the horror genre, distinguished by its intelligent storytelling, strong performances, and an atmosphere of pervasive dread. It is a film that understands the power of suggestion, using its visuals, sound, and narrative to create a haunting experience that lingers long after the credits roll. This is a film that not only frightens but also engages the mind, leaving the viewer with questions that are as unsettling as the horror they have just witnessed.